Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hari Om. Good evening and welcome from Niagara Falls. At the beginning of November, I will be facilitating a retreat in Ann Arbor, and the vision of the retreat is victory with Vairagya, from human to Hanuman. Victory with Vairagya, from human to Hanuman. And I insisted that the organizers use the word Vairagya because it's a word that we greatly misunderstand. It's a word that we greatly fear. Vairagya is made up of two words actually. Vi, that Vi, and Raga. What Hindi word sounds like Raga? Rang, right? Color. And when we think of Rang, we tend to think of red. We think of holy. Viraga means without color. When something is not colored by our own projection, we see that article, being, circumstance for what it actually is. So Vairagya is to see God's world. Right now, we see the world, but it's projected with the taint of our ego. So Vairagya is really independence. If you think of what we project, we always project completion on an article, a being, a circumstance. And as long as you project that completion, the tendency is to become dependent on whatever we're projecting on. But Vairagya is I'm not projecting my completion on any article, being, and circumstance, so I'm not dependent on any article, being, or circumstance. Imagine being fully independent of all articles, all beings, all circumstances. Then you get to change your name. You get to change your name to Sanjaya. If you study Srimad Bhagavad Gita, who's speaking? Sanjaya. Sanjaya is the one who's neither on the side of the Kauravas nor on the side of the Pandavas. Sanjaya is the one who's achieved victory over himself. The one who has no likes and or dislikes. And now Vijayadashami is coming up also. This is the difference between jaya and vijaya. Jaya is an outer victory. That's physical. Vijaya is an inner victory. It's mental or it's metaphysical. When Edmund Hillary had climbed Mount Everest, then someone had approached him and said, "You conquered Mount Everest." And he said, "No, I've conquered myself." To be able to climb Mount Everest would require a lot of physical toughness, but more so mental toughness. Next year, I'm taking a group of young adults to the base camp of Mount Everest. And I'm already telling them that they need to start saving financially because it will be expensive, and more so to start building their stamina, both physical and mental. Vairagya is not a word to be misunderstood nor to be feared. This is a word to be understood and loved. When you are independent, what happens is we grow from instinct to intention. As long as you and I are living by instinct, we will always be very lost in our thirst for wealth. We'll be lost in our thirst for sexuality by instinct. Guruji had shared, to be an extrovert requires no special effort. It's just what we do when it comes to possessions, when it comes to pleasure. But to be an introvert person, to be an inward-looking person, that does require special effort. That's when we stop living by instinct, we start living by intention. We grow up from greed to need. We grow up from lust to attraction. And all of this is facilitated by discipline. This is a word that is most required for one to grow, is discipline, in a secular way or in a sacred way, and in a sacred way. There are many devotees in this world. Many people were devoted to Lord Krishna, but few people are disciples. The difference between a devotee and a disciple is the willingness and ability to follow through with discipline. And this is what Prince Arjuna tells Lord Krishna. He says, Shishyaha te aham. I am your disciple now. I'm not your cousin. I am not your bhakta. I'm your disciple. I am one who's ready and able towards discipline. Okay. Last week we covered shlokas 2 and 3, so I'm going to do a review of both of those. In my travels, I get to go to a whole lot of people's homes. And to try to get to know people better, I ask the adults in the home, do you work inside of the house or do you work outside of the house? And one day, a lady put me in my place. She said, I work inside of the house and outside of the house. And I was very appreciative of her authority. Now, other people, unlike this lady, they say that I'm just, and what do they say after that? A housewife. Or they'll say something, but they'll mumble it, like I'm, as if they don't want me to hear what they're saying. But I know what they're saying. And it's really sad that one would, preface being a housewife or a house husband with the word just. It shows how extrovert we are, actually. The most tangible form of wealth is money. It's not a stock, it's not land, it is money. In the context I'm sharing it in, it's a paycheck. So if you get a paycheck, that means you're working, and if you don't get a paycheck, that means you're not working. My friends love to tell me that I've been unemployed since 2005. So I haven't received a paycheck for 12 years, and they like to follow up by saying that you don't work. When I think back to when I was engaged in commercial real estate, I work much more now without a paycheck than I did with a paycheck. But see how we're stuck on the paycheck? It's because it's something gross, something we can touch. In fact, if you study the history of wealth, every dollar in the United States was originally backed by an equal amount of gold. In like Fort Knox and different places, that's why they're called greenbacks. That green is backed by gold. Gold is actually even more tangible. That's why Indians love gold. But that's not okay to live in such a material way, because you can't exchange materials for joy. You cannot. What's the famous Beatles song that teaches that? Can't buy my love, right? And I was asking a group of people recently, with more money, can you buy better sleep? You can buy a better bed, but you can't buy better sleep. With more money, can you buy better health? You can buy fancier gym equipment and you can buy fancier memberships, but that doesn't mean you're going to go there. Money cannot be transacted for joy. And if you think deeply about this, this is why fewer people engage in the Jnana Kanda, that is the knowledge portion of the Veda, as compared to the Karma Kanda, which is the ritual part of the Veda. And to make this very clear, suppose you buy a new car and you want a car puja done for your car. So you don't know anyone to do it, so you ask me to do it. So I can be in Niagara Falls at Chinmayadhara and I can pray to Bhagavan Krishna to keep you safe in your car, to keep you prosperous in your car. In other words, when it comes to the Karma Kanda or rituals, you can do this by proxy. I can perform a ritual for you. But when it comes to the Jnana Kanda, where the focus is not on prosperity, but it's on peace. If I go to Chinmayadhara and I chant Vishnu Sahasranama and I'm super happy, does that make you happy? For some people, it makes them more frustrated that they don't have that opportunity. When it comes to the Jnana Kanda, you have to change. You have to exert. This can't be done by proxy. And that's why fewer people come, because more of you has to be given. And then in Shloka 3, we studied lust. For some people, they have pride in their materials. Some people have pride in their sexuality, whether their own body or possessing another body. But it's a form of pride, and we'll see that with Shloka 4 more. Remember, sexuality is a worldly means for worldly movement. Procreation as an example. If human beings weren't attracted to each other, we wouldn't procreate. So it is a means. It's a means to further whatever is happening in this world. And note, I'm saying sexuality and not relationships. Sexuality is something physical. Relationships is something mental. A relationship is where virtue development is encouraged. Sexuality doesn't encourage virtue development necessarily. So, in Shloka 1, we focused on position, education. In Shloka 2, we focused on possession, which is about wealth. And in Shloka 3, we focused on pleasure or sexuality. And Acharya Shankara has caught our attention now. He's asked us to arise. Like Puja Swami Vivekananda says, arise, awake. So the arise part is checked off now in the first 3 shlokas. Now in the next shloka, the focus is on awaking. Not just arise. So many of us get up out of bed, but we're still sleeping, isn't it? If I have a conversation with you right, when you just got out of bed and I ask you about a few things, and then we see each other at lunch and I say, do you remember what I said? No. Because you've arisen. Physically, we've created space, but we're not awake yet. And in this shloka, Acharya Shankara, he doesn't take up anything specific, like education or wealth or sexuality. He's going deeper than that. I'll chant each line. Please repeat. Please listen carefully. Please chant loudly amongst yourselves. Nalini dalagata jalamati taralam. Tadva jivitam atishaya chapalam. Vidhi vyada bhimana grastam. Lokam shokahatam cha samastam. Now we'll chant together. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam bhaja mudamate. In the first half of the first line, which we call a pada, what Acharya Shankara says is that we are like jala. Jala is water. And it is atitaralam. It is so unstable. This drop of water is so unstable on this nalini, on this lotus. So a drop of water that is extremely unstable on a lotus. It seems like in our scriptures, they love using examples with lotuses, isn't it? They love examples with snakes and lotuses and rain. It's like Bollywood movies. There's always a tree and it's always raining and someone's dancing around. So you know that these examples are coming. But they're not used casually, are not used casually. How many of you have seen a lotus in your lifetime? Okay, there's a lot of people who have not seen a lotus before. It's something that's just a symbol for them. But why this symbol? Where does a lotus grow? It grows in muck, essentially. It grows in dirt. It grows in that which you don't want to put on you. That's where this lotus grows. But despite growing in all of that, that lotus is not like the muck. That lotus is not dirty. You want that lotus on you, whether physically or the scent of a lotus. So lotuses are used to show us how we have to grow, where we have to grow. And in this context, that drop of water, why this is brought up as the focus rather than the lotus is because that's what we think we are. You and I think we are a drop of water, that we are small, instead of realizing that we're free. And that will come out more in the next quarter. But you need to envision this. So you have this dirt and you have this lotus that's growing and there's a drop of water that's on a petal. And now that drop of water is very unstable, right? If the ground shakes a little bit, it'll fall. If the wind blows, it will fall. Pop quiz. What movie, old movie, is this idea brought out a lot in, where they have this drop of water and they don't know which way it's going to fall? 3, 2, 1. Jurassic Park. Yes, St. John's. Wonderful. And Fairfield. Do you remember when they're in the Jeep and he's talking about chaos theory and you just don't know where that drop of water is going to go? They copied that from Bhaja Govindam. Steven Spielberg read Bhaja Govindam before. He wrote the script for Jurassic Park. Tad vad. So just like this drop of water on the lotus is so unsure, tad vad jivitam. So is our life. That drop of water is unstable. Our life is unsure. It is atishaya chapalam. It's becoming, with every moment, it's becoming more and more and more unsure. And this is not something that's so abstract. I'd read a quote that shared, life is a terminal condition. Isn't it? If someone has terminal cancer, as an example, that means that cancer is not going to go away. Isn't life a terminal condition? Can you stop yourself from dying? And every moment it's closer towards that death. Right? We've now been studying for a month together. We're 1 month closer to death. Even if you didn't study, you'd still be closer to death, but that's what's happening. And we see that all the time. Now, sadly, we heard about, at least I heard about it, the train crash in New Jersey, in Hoboken. Right? The people, that one lady, I believe, who passed away and hundreds of others who were injured, when they were getting ready to go to work or whatever they were doing, did they have this idea that this is going to be my last moment? But it was. I was spending some time with a young family, and one of the daughters of this young family, she's allergic to everything. to dairy, to gluten, to peanuts, and she's really young. And when I was talking to her mother about this, her mother was crying. She was thinking that my young daughter has so many physical limitations, dietary limitations, and it just made her think about, what if this is in this food, or this is over here, or this is not over here, right? Living becomes more and more and more unsure. And what's amazing is that you and I know that, but we also don't know that. And that's why in Indian culture, people love astrologers. They always want to know what's going to happen tomorrow. What does the future hold for me? Our janam patris and all of that. Who am I going to marry? What kind of kids am I going to have? Etc., etc., etc. Because it's so unsure that we want to bring some certainty to that. Not possible. Acharya Shankara says here, vidhi. We hear this word puja vidhi, Sanskrit vidhi. Vidhi means understand. But not just understand intellectually, also appreciate. Another quote for all of you. If exercise came in a bottle, it would be the most widely prescribed prescription. Agreed? Everyone here agrees? Yes? No? Okay. So my next question is, how many of you exercised today? There's only a few hands that have gone up for exercise. We all know, we understand that we should exercise, but we don't appreciate that we should exercise. This vidhi here doesn't mean just intellectually. Vidhi, you should know grastam. Grastam means consumed by. No, we are going to be consumed by vyadhi. Vyadhi means disease and abhimana means arrogance. In a couple of weeks, I'll be coming to Raleigh, North Carolina, and I'm doing a workshop at the University of North Carolina. And the vision of this workshop is combating mental illness. Medication versus meditation. Mental illness is growing at an astounding rate in our society. I'm sure everyone knows someone close to them that has a mental illness. And I'm always leveled by our shastras. Do you know that we have different words for physical illness and mental illness? Adi and Vyadi distinguish physical illness and mental illness. Astounding. They didn't have the hospitals and clinics that we now have, but they were such strong thinkers. They didn't need such equipments. Acharya Shankara is saying this whole world, every being is consumed by disease. This is called rogalaya. As soon as one is born, it becomes the abode of disease. I was born with jaundice, so literally the day that I breathed my first breath of air, there was already a disease waiting for me. And through God's grace, I became fine, but I'm sure that was the case for many people. And abhimana. Abhimana is where I think about myself only. Arrogance. Isn't our world consumed by that? Everywhere you look, someone is not well, someone is passing away. But more sad than that, more prevalent than that is this arrogance. All you and I do is think about ourselves. Isn't it? And those rare moments when we're not thinking about ourselves, there's such relief. There's such freedom that I don't have to put on this image for others. When we're by ourselves, we are less arrogant because there's no one to recognize us. That's why our scriptures say, ekaki. Ekaki means be by yourself. Learn to stop thinking about yourself. Understand and appreciate this. And to really wrap up this thought, he says in the last line, this loka, and loka here doesn't just mean world. Loka means fields of experiences. It doesn't just mean traveling to Thailand or to Indonesia or to Australia. Loka means getting a promotion. Loka means being in a family. Loka means dreaming. Those are all fields of experiences. Today I wasn't feeling well, and so I took a long nap. And I was awoken twice because I was having dreams about this shloka, actually. I had read this shloka before I went to sleep, and this one scene was, I often tell all of you that the most dangerous part about being an acharya is bad drivers. You know, people that are driving you from place to place to place. And so I was in this Honda Odyssey. See how much time I spend in Honda Odysseys that I dream about them now. And one of our Devis is taking me and some other people. I just arrived from the airport to their home, and it's very snowy outside. And she wasn't paying attention, so she got off the road. She hit the ice. The van went into the water, and on and on and on. And that was this shloka coming to life for me. See, my dream, even in my dream, what was there? Shoka, sorrow. Every field of experience has the potential for sorrow. He uses the word samastam. You know, we chant samasta jana kalyane. Samasta means with no exception. This is the nature of finitude. This is the nature of dvaita. The person who doesn't think about the nature of what they're experiencing, that person will not be saved. Not be saved from what? Sorrow. Forget about death. Even though that's significant, death will kill us once. Sorrow is constantly killing us. And this message is not to, brainwash us into thinking, yeah, our lives are miserable. Even when everything is under control, our minds are still not in control. Correct? We all experience that. Many people live by the philosophy, eat, drink, and be merry. You know what kind of people say that? Unhappy people. Unhappy people live by eat, drink, and be merry. Because happy people will just be merry. Eating and drinking is not relevant to that thinking process, to that lifestyle. And Guruji picked up on this and he said, you have to be merry even to enjoy eating and drinking. Now I have a glass of water here. And if I'm highly agitated, I'm highly agitated, and I am drinking this water, though it's good, natural Niagara Falls water, filtered Niagara Falls water, my mind is not there. It's on this argument I had with this person or whatever else happened. Drinking is like that, eating is like that. But if you are merry, you can eat any food or not even eat food. And that's what's important, that you're merry. So what is the philosophy by which we should live? To be merry. All the people in school, do you go to school to be merry? All the people in work, do you go to work to be merry? All the people in families, do you engage in your families to be merry? Why? Bhaja Govindam, and our favorite word, Mudha Mate, Bhaja Govindam. Make self-development a priority. How to take this shloka and change this so that it's not about us, that we're not affected by this shloka. Make self-development a priority. And as you make self-development a priority, try not to have expectations. I was in one home. A family had invited me for Bhiksha. And I'm sitting, a few other people are sitting around too. And the husband of the home comes to me and says, Vivekji, I've been attending our study groups for 3 years. And I'm still an angry person. He's getting angry at me as he's saying this. I only come to your house once a year. Why are you projecting this on me? But see, why does he go to the study group? He goes to the study group with expectations. That's a very worldly way of going to study groups, right? I'm going to attend the Moha Mudgara course so that I will be fearless and I will tweet about it. See that expectation? When we have such worldly expectations in this sacred field, it slows our growth down. Just work. Just immerse yourself in self-development. All will be taken care of. Swami Brahmananda, this is Puja Swami Vivekananda's batchmate. He shared, 3/4 of our mind should be on God. 1/4 of our mind should be on the world. 3/4 on God. In other words, 3/4 on self-development, yoga, the vision of yoga, 1/4 on functionality, on whatever else we're doing. Always think of the eternal as you engage in the ephemeral. Don't lose track of the eternal. That eternal is that joy, peace. Because as soon as it leaves our radar, it's very difficult to bring that back. That's the nature of the ephemeral. Extroverts pull you to be more extrovert. Oh.